right, so we are in chapter 7 of The Novelist and the Lake House by Jeffrey Harris. And so far, it's basically been Brady, which is now him, and not Blanche, Emily. So they've been dating for a little bit. They've been on a few dates, or several dates, I guess now. They've been showing a lot of restraint and self-control and to not go all the way. He needs her to go with him to his lake house to write the story. To finish the series. So they're getting to know each other until she's comfortable enough to go, which should be like a few months, I think. So, but last time I was basically saying that I have a feeling that she's gonna end up being the crazy one. I feel like she's gonna end up being the killer because they had the whole scene where Stan, the main character from the series, the crazy one, says that Brady puts himself in all of these characters. So what if he, if that line becomes blurred of reality, and we shall see. I still think it's going to be her that ends up being, but we shall see. Okay, here we go. Chapter 7. It was a great day. Everything planned out went spectacularly, Brady thought. The weather was nice and warm, and it was not overly crowded with people. It was a lovely Saturday. Brady would think of it as a perfect Saturday. The more time he spent with his girlfriend Emily, the more these two got to know each other, and the better these two seemed to be. Earlier in the day, they went to the mall to shop for new clothes and to spend time together. Later, they had seafood for lunch before taking her to a water park where the two had a blast riding water slides and spending a lovely, beautiful day outdoors under the sun. During the time they spent at the water park, both periodically could not take their eyes off of one another. His eyes fixed on that luscious body of hers in that ocean blue colored two-piece bikini she was wearing, the way the sunlight reflected off her long red hair, the shape of her, and the way it moved in the bikini bottom she wore when walking about. And she stared a lot at the water running down his muscular tanned body and the bulge he was through his wrist shorts when they were wet. It was getting her all worked up throughout the day. So these two are just like clawing at the bits here, ready to get to it. After their day at the water park, the two went out to eat at a diner he sometimes enjoys alone. At times, he gets a booth, brings in his laptop, and works on his writing while having a burger and fries with a cup of coffee. Some mornings, he visits the diner for breakfast and brings his laptop to work while having his morning coffee. The owner of the diner and the employees are very familiar with Brady. They love his attitude and the fact that he tips so well. And of course, they know him being a local author usually helps make their business more widespread than just the delicious food that is always cooked right, and no one ever has any complaints. The milkshakes they serve are something Brady kept bragging about a lot with Emily during the drive to the diner. He added, boasting about their chili cheeseburgers. Their breakfast was incredible. After changing into a regular fit dry clothing after leaving the park, they both arrived at the diner, where Brady could not resist his excitement. When they walked into the somewhat full diner, Emily could smell the mixture of foods between the smell of burgers, bacon, eggs, and coffee throughout the diner, making her hungrier than before walking inside. Before sitting at a booth together, Emily immediately saw how the employees treated Brady when he walked in. Some of the regular customers even greeted Brady. The diner was a nice-sized place, definitely a money-making business by the way it looked, and Emily could see that it had been around for quite some time. They both sit at a booth after Brady greets some of the employees and customers he knew while introducing them to his girlfriend, Emily. She could see the excitement plastered all over Brady's face about having her there with him, and when he introduced her to the others, she could see just how proud he was and happy to have her there. You weren't kidding. You know a lot of people here. You seem more excited about an average diner than you did at the few five-star restaurants you've taken me to. Well, before I started writing books, I lived a normal, average life and couldn't afford much. So diners like this were my go-to for eating. That life of luxury is nice and all, but it still doesn't change where I came from and how I got here, he explained just before one of the waitresses walked over to the table. She looks at Brady. The usual sweet tea. Am I right? She asked, smiling at Brady. Brady nodded yes before she asked Emily, who also asked for sweet tea. Hey Jessica, how are the kids doing? Brady asked before the waitress was about to walk away. They are just fine, enjoying their summer vacation out of school while enjoying the hell out of their father and me. While annoying the hell out of their father and me, she answered with a smirk before heading back towards the kitchen. After the two of them had dinner, they were on the beach, sitting in the sand beside each other, Brady with his arms around Emily. The two of them talked while watching the ocean get darker while the sun was setting. The sound of the waves crashing onto the shore was so relaxing and calming, they both thought while hearing a small number of seagulls close by in the area. A calming breeze was blowing right off the ocean, collecting them across their face. They watched as a few beachgoers passed by the area where they sat and calmly enjoyed the beach while reflecting on their day together. So, did you ever turn in that last book you were working on? Emily asked. Remember the discussions he had about it several days ago? Yeah, I turned it in yesterday, he replied, looking out across the water, enjoying the breeze blowing right off it. They could nearly taste the salt from the water and the air coming off the breeze. When do you go to your lake house to work on your next novel? She asked. Figured we'd go at the beginning of fall. Are you still interested in going with me? He replied. I would love to go and spend time with you at your lake house, she answered. Brady smiled, so much joy in his heart. She brought so much happiness into his life. He leans over and kissed her, and she kisses him back. The both of them knew right there that the kissing was going to lead straight to sex. They both knew it. They both wanted it. They both had been putting it off for weeks. Emily pulled her lips away from his and whispered into his ear while kissing his neck. My place or yours? She asked, sticking her tongue gently into his ear. They were at his place. Straight to it. He didn't even answer the question. Straight to it. Okay. They were at his place in his bed. Wait, or somebody imagining and fantasizing. Is someone's imagination going wild? Imagination. They were at his place in his bed, making love for the first time since they met. This was no fantasy going through their minds as before. Okay. This time it was real. Instead of Emily like a wild bull, the way he kept fantasizing repeatedly over the last few weeks, he instead made sweet love to her, which went on for hours into the early morning. When they arrived at his place, he picked Emily up and carried her in his arms to his room, where he gently laid her on the bed. Little at a time, he would Y'all already know where I'm going with this. So we're just gonna go on and kiss the girl. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. Brady took his time with her before he would rub, and she would return the favor by. It was dark in the room. A bit of light shuffled through the curtain from the full moon. Both Emily and Brady were asleep in his bed, and that was until Brady gently woke up to the sound of feet shuffling within the room. Thinking it was Emily heading to the bathroom or something, he leaned up, wiped his eyes, and looked over to see her fast asleep next to him in the bed. If she is asleep, what is the noise he is hearing? He was thinking, before he got a quick startled surprise from Stan sitting down on the side of the bed next to him after Brady jumped back in a bit of a startle. The hell are you doing here? So, how was dessert? Stan whispered back. Brady shakes his head annoyingly, knowing the character he had created has become such a big part of his wild imagination to the point where it feels and seems so natural. You aren't here. I'm imagining you, Brady whispers before laying his head back on his pillow and shutting his eyes. If I'm not real, how do you explain what she was doing an hour ago while you were still asleep after she... Ooh. Wait, what? Opens his eyes and leaves up facing Stan and remains seated on the bed. What are you talking about? He asked, just before he looked at Emily asleep in his bed. She's got secrets. She was on the phone with someone an hour before falling asleep, Stan warned in a whisper. Please leave, Brady asked. Stan stood up off the bed and he looked over at Brady with a concerned expression. Brady could barely make it out in the moonlight. What are you saying? Brady asked. She's got secrets, but you want to rethink taking her to the lake house. You need to put it off and wait. Do you know who she was on the phone with? Brady asked. No, but it's irrelevant, said Stan, and Brady could see something was bothering him. He had never warned him of anyone like this before, so it was new to him. That doesn't make sense if you're warning me. She was on the phone with someone, which could easily be her mother or someone like that. But for you to say it's irrelevant makes this situation stupid. Brady scolded with a whisper. I just wanted to use that word. It sounded good at that moment. Brady shakes his head before telling Stan good night while placing his head back on his pillow to go back to sleep. Seconds later, Stan leans down into Brady's ear and whispers, Are you asleep? Brady jumps up, frustrated like, Will you please leave? He whispers. Stan takes a few steps away. Just pay attention before you put us in a position of uncertainty, will you? He said before leaving the room. Brady lay in bed with Emily next to him. He was thinking about what Stan had said to him about Emily having secrets and being on the phone an hour ago before falling asleep. So much was on his mind while he lay next to her, staring up at the ceiling. wondering if he was falling in love too quickly with her. He rolls over onto his side, where he can see her sleeping. Her face is in the dark, but partially illuminated by the moonlight, lighting up the room just a bit. Could he trust her? Or can it be his creation throughout his mind playing tricks with him? Now that's interesting because it's like, this is a character he created, but it seems as though he has an attachment to this character, which makes me feel like this character really is an extension of him. Like, it's another version of him. Like, he has a side that is dangerous and a killer. And that's the side that he identifies with the most. Perhaps. The next day, Emily drove Brady to her art gallery in town. When they arrived, he realized right away that he had seen this art gallery many times passing through, and he told Emily that. "If only you had stopped in, we would have met sooner," she replied, parking her vehicle at her usual parking spot. Stepping out of the car, Brady notices some paintings hanging in the window of the display. He walks over to Emily. "Did you paint those?" he asked. "Those? No. I do have some paintings on display for the sale inside, and most of my paintings are at my place. A lot of these paintings I buy and resell, and I do have clients I sell their paintings for, and we each take a cut." After Emily unlocks the door to her art gallery, they walk inside, and Brady walks around casually, checking out the art on display and for sale. "Those pictures over in that far corner are paintings I've done myself." She points Brady towards her paintings. He walked over to the paintings she did, and he could immediately see the talent she had acquired in painting. They were lovely colors and so peaceful. There were paintings of beaches, mountains, cabins in the woods, and paintings she would make of people in love. It was a mixture of various ones. Brady comes across one that sticks out to him. It is so lovely and is painted with precision. It was a painting of a small town with tiny houses with woods and mountains in the background. By the looks of the old houses, you could see they were from the 1800s by how they looked. The painting also had rain falling. It was well designed based on what he saw. Emily walks over and stands beside Brady. That painting I made came from a dream I had. In my dream, this town was once peaceful in the Appalachian Mountains of Kentucky. Little did these people know, their lives were completely turned upside down by a witch that invaded them and placed a curse on them all, killing them one by one, Emily explained. Brady looks at Emily dumbfoundedly until she looks at him and starts chuckling. "Seriously, I did dream up the image of that town though." Brady continued his walk around all the artwork inside. "I have to admit, you and these other folks sure have some talent in painting," he said. "You write it down, I paint it," Emily replied with a big smile. Brady turned and looked at her with an expression of agreement. I think he's falling in love, guys. Later in the day, Brady stood outside the art gallery and watched as customers went in and came out. While standing around watching, he was approached by Stan, who just casually walked right up beside him and stood there next to him, watching the people inside. "Sure is some fine art in there, that is, if you are into art," Stan said, looking over at Brady, who remained quiet, his eyes fixed on the customers inside, watching them through the windows of the building. "Makes you wonder where she keeps her dark paintings. If I were a betting man, I'd say she keeps her secretive artwork at home in a room behind a locked door. And I bet she carries the key with her everywhere she goes," Stan said. Stan is really involved here. With this know-it-all look about him, even when Brady looked over at him, he could see what looked written all over his face. "What makes you so sure?" Brady asked. Stan looks at Brady with his grin before he starts laughing sarcastically. "Are you kidding me right now? You wrote me this way, and you know it yourself. I have yet to be wrong." "Well, you're wrong now if you think that gorgeous woman in there is keeping secrets." Stan looked at him with a grin while shaking his head in denial. "I've already seen a few hints in some of the paintings in there that are hers. But if this is what you must do to tell yourself that you are in love, I wish you all the luck in the world." "What is your problem with her?" Brady asked. Stan focuses his attention on Brady with this severe expression, about to open his mouth, possibly to explain more in detail, before Brady turns and sees Emily approaching him, calling out his name a few times in the process. "Everything okay? I called your name many times. Were you talking to someone?" she asked. Brady looks back to his right and does not see Stan standing there anymore. He looks back at Emily to make something up so he doesn't seem crazy. "No, some people across the street caught my attention," he answered. So, what I find interesting is, okay, so what started out as a character has now turned into like, I'd say like, it's another version of himself. And he doesn't seem very surprised that this is happening, which makes me feel like this has been like something that's been happening off camera. So possibly before they did the whole, thing, like when he was writing his other books, I feel that the character of Stan was still there. And at first I was wondering, like, why is this particular character haunting him so much or so attached to him? But then I realized this is the character that has brought him so much fame, so much fortune, so much notoriety. So he kind of puts this character Stan on this pedestal. Because mind you, like, Brady has written all these other books over a decade. And of all of those characters, he's chosen Stan. So, ooh. But see, I feel like he's being paranoid to a certain degree because so far, Emily hasn't shown any sign of craziness. I think she's gonna end up being crazy, but that's just because I'm paranoid. But then again, I guess Brady is too. But Brady doesn't have the same kind of paranoia I have. My paranoia is she's gonna end up being one of those super fans that read all of the books and was inspired. Check this out. She was inspired by Stan's character and wanted to get more involved. So she started stalking this man. Now, that's just my theory, because she doesn't seem that, I mean, she has a job, but the fact that she can just pick up and go to his lake house, like, I have my doubts about Emily. I have my doubts. Sticking to it. So we're about to go ahead and jump into chapter 8. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all think that Brady's being paranoid? Do y'all think that Stan is telling the truth? Or that Stan is just like a self-sabotage kind of thing? Like when you get in a healthy relationship for the first time and you're trying to keep yourself from like sabotaging it, or like self-sabotage? Tell me what you think. All right, and I'll see y'all next video. Peace.